point, you should be able to perform reverse abdominal breathing without any difficulty. That means you inhale, and as you inhale, you resist with the abdomen, and you feel it in the abdomen, the perineum, and the lower back with equal amounts of pressure. If you haven't reached this point, please do not continue because you will only end up hurting yourself. Another thing I will mention is that up until now, all the practices have been using just regular chi flow in the body. This starts to take advantage of some of the flow in the channels, and if you start to do this incorrectly, it may cause imbalances in your body. So you have to follow the instructions to the letter. If you start to do things your own way and you start to ignore the right path, the right technique, you may end up hurting yourself. Finally, if you're pregnant, I would recommend holding off until after you give birth to start learning how to do this. Again, if you're throwing your body out of sync or out of sorts by any mistakes, you don't want to impact a little one that's growing inside of you. So first off, we begin with the inhalation part, where you're going to be pulling the energy up from the reproductive organs into the head. After that, we have the part where we transform the energy from that fiery energy to the normal human chi. And then finally, we have the part where we just release the energy down and store it into the dantian. Each part has its own little intricacy, so we'll go one by one in detail. Part 1. Pulling the energy up through the governor vessel. Well, you may remember that wherever your awareness goes, energy flows. But when you're trying to grab energy from one area and move it to another, this just doesn't work. You need something a little more powerful than just focus. And this is where I came up with what I call the rubber band technique. When you look at a rubber band, it's very elastic. If you grab it by one point and you hold it by another point and you pull and there's a tension between the 2 points and you let go of one side, it shoots to the other. This is how we're going to guide our energy. Your awareness will focus on 2 points. The first point being where the energy is at. The second point, where the energy is going to go. You have to focus on both simultaneously. If your attention wavers, this breaks and does not work. When it comes to using chi, you can't push it, you can only pull it. And this is how we do it. We use this elastic rubber band method, which seems to work with most energy practice. Before moving forward, I suggest you practice this by building a ball of energy between your hands. Then grasp it with your left hand and hold it far away from your right hand, at least 1.5 feet to 2 feet apart. Your awareness, your focus, will be simultaneously on the left hand and the right hand, the one that has energy and the one that doesn't. And as you're putting your awareness on those 2 hands, you would engage your heart center to focus on the left hand and feel for that heaviness of chi, for that substance, that subtle substance that is there. With your heart locked onto that feeling of chi, you begin to inhale slowly, and as you do, release your awareness from your left hand. As you continue to inhale and release that awareness of the left hand, the energy will flow into the right hand, and as your heart is focusing on the right hand, it will feel that same energy that was on the left in the right. Your focus on 2 simultaneous points creates a bridge. Your heart, focused on the feeling of the energy, carries that energy. So as you release that elastic band, it flies across and carries it to the next point. If you can't use this skill, the microcosmic circulation is going to be very hard to perform. This is almost like a cheat code that helps you cut through years of practice. Obviously, you're not going to pick everything up in one day. These skills take weeks, if not months of practice. You can always come back and view each particular section as you need. Okay, assuming you've got down the elastic rubber band method for moving chi, we move on to the next part, which is learning to feel this fiery energy with your heart. Obviously, in order to be able to do this, you already have to be able to produce that procreative energy in your body. Meaning, if you've not gone through puberty, this might not work for you. We would begin by standing the legs shoulder width apart or sitting on a chair towards the front edge of the chair. Those with a yang or masculine body type should take care to be in a position where you're not feeling too much pressure squeezing against the gonads. As you take a few breaths to relax the body and calm the mind, focus on your heart and activate it. Having performed the previous exercise with the rubber band technique between your palms, you know what the subtle energy of chi feels like. This time, you would engage your heart, focusing on the gonad region for about 10 to 15 breaths. Now, a little hint that might expand your ability with your heart center is this. Every day you walk around breathing in and out through your nose, yet it's only when you get the slightest smell of something delicious that you bring your focus into your nose as you inhale. By engaging your awareness on your nose, you isolate its ability to smell, which gives the brain the ability to focus more on the scent. Likewise, when your heart is connected to something, as you inhale, almost as if you're inhaling through your heart or sniffing through your heart, it will pull the scent or the sensation of what your heart is attached to in that much deeper for you to evaluate and feel. Practice this every day, multiple times a day, until you can feel that heaviness in your heart when you focus onto your gonad region, until you can feel that energy that is the reproductive energy. At this point, you're ready to move on to the next step. You'll begin by switching from regular breathing to reverse abdominal breathing. You're not going to be breathing in too deeply. It can be somewhat shallow. And you're going to start doing the exercise. And just be aware that you may feel pressure in the perineum increase as you do this, and that's totally normal. So you're going to begin by focusing on the gonad region. Men would focus on the testicles, women on the ovaries. The next point you're going to have to focus on simultaneously will be the huiyin, or the point right at the perineum. This is to bring the energy from the procreative organs to the channel so we can start to circulate it. So we begin by focusing on the gonads, and we wrap it up in awareness. We activate our heart, focus on the energy that's there till we feel that thick energy. We simultaneously focus on the huiyin point. And just like before with the rubber band technique, as we keep focus on both, you start to inhale, and as you slowly inhale, you begin to release that grasp of your awareness on the gonad region while keeping your heart focused and connected on that heavy feeling of energy of chi that comes from that region. As you start to release that rubber band of awareness that connects the gonads to the huiyin point, will start to pull towards the huiyin point, and it'll pull that energy that is attached to the heart sensation with it to the huiyin. As long as you keep your focus on the huiyin point and you keep your heart centered on that feeling of energy that you got from the gonad region, which is that heavy energy, it's going to stay there. But the moment that you release your attention, it's going to snap back to where it was before. Being able to do this is a great accomplishment in itself, but there's still more that you have to do in order to get ready to do the real technique, the real cultivation. The next step is to pull that energy from the huiyin all the way to the coccyx. From the coccyx region, you'll pull the energy up to the low back region. From there, you'll pull it to that transition between the mid back and low back. You'll pull it to the middle of the mid back. You'll pull it to the base of the neck, and then you'll pull it to the base of the skull, and finally to the top of the head. With this exercise, it should take 8 breaths to take it through all 8 points. Once you bring it to the top of the head, let go and start all over again. Do this for about 3 or 4 reps until you can easily maneuver this packet of energy. This will familiarize you with feeling that energy traveling up the spine. It will familiarize you with focusing on those different parts of your body, and it will show you the track that you have to follow when you do this technique for real. Do not feel bad if this takes you up to a month or 2 to figure out. Now here's something positive about this circumstance. Because this energy does not come from the Dantian, because this is an energy that you use sparingly, and because when you let go, it starts to return back to where it came from, you can keep doing this throughout the day, multiple times a day, as long as you don't burn out your mind and your awareness. Just every once in a while, you practice. Are you waiting in line to get served? Practice. Are you sitting on a bus or the passenger in a car? Practice. Are you at work and taking a quick break? Practice. Are you watching TV? Practice. You just have to keep on with this over and over until you can get it right. Now you might ask, well, why can't I just pull it from the gonads all the way to the top of my head and skip all the other points? The reason being is because in the next step, you want an unbroken stream of energy coming from the gonads to the hui yin through that whole vessel all the way to the top. Now the breathing is going to be very important. Every time we inhale, we're going to be pulling energy. For now, when we exhale, it's just an exhale without any significance. Now that you're familiar with using the elastic rubber band method for moving energy, we're going to take it up a notch. And I call this the heart conveyor technique because it'll be the heart that does all the hard work. It'll move things around. You may have started to feel with the elastic technique that before you would even release your tension on the first point, the energy would flow to the second point. That's because the heart was carrying it unawares to you. Rather than closing off points then, we're going to learn to keep the points open, connected like a railroad track, and move the energy from one point to another just using the heart. We will continue to coordinate the breath with an inhale for this technique. We'll begin practice again by putting energy between the palms and then focusing it onto the left hand. Again, the hands about 1.5 feet apart. Again, we will focus on both palms at the same time to make a pathway between the two of them, almost like there's a straight line connecting them. Then the heart, again, will focus on the energy in the left hand. This time, instead of releasing the awareness on the left hand, you'll keep that awareness on both hands, but you'll just inhale and shift your focus onto your right hand while maintaining your heart focused on that energy that was originally in the left hand. You should notice that the ball of energy jumped to the right hand. Again, with your heart, focus on that ball of energy on the right. Focus your mind now on the left hand. Inhale, and it shifted to the left. Now you might say, this is too easy. I know it is. That's why we're moving to another level of difficulty. You will now have 4 points of focus. You'll have your elbows on both arms and your palms on both arms. Again, you'll start off with a ball of energy in your left hand by the palm region. This time, your awareness will start by focusing on the left elbow into the left hand, across to the right hand and to the right elbow, like a long line that spans all 4, almost like a railroad track. The heart will then focus on the ball of energy in the left hand, and with an inhale, transfer focus to the left elbow. The muscles in the elbow should feel a little tenser, and there should be a feeling of expansion in the left elbow. The heart should still be feeling the energy while you focus on the elbow. Next, repeat and inhale and shift to the left hand, then inhale and shift to the right hand, inhale and shift to the right elbow. You would do this back and forth, elbow, hand, elbow, elbow, hand, elbow. If you can do this with ease, then you are ready to move on to the last part of this video, which is pulling a stream of reproductive energy from the gonads up the governor vessel to the top of the head. From here on out, you must observe the rules that were stated in the previous videos. Men should not practice this until the day after procreative practices, and women should not practice this during menstruation. Remember that you're still using reverse abdominal breathing, and remember that with your awareness, you'll be focusing on your gonads as well as the 8 points along the spine, and you'll be drawing a track that goes from the gonads all the way to the top of the head. Also, be aware that unlike before, when you use your heart to convey the energy, there will be resistance. The gonadal region will not want to release that energy away. So as your heart starts to pull the energy through circulation, there will be a certain amount of resistance that keeps you from moving too quickly. It is best to proceed slowly and to visualize a syringe that you're filling with water. As you pull the back end, the plunger sucks in the water nice and slow. You pull too fast, you break it. Likewise, your heart will be like the plunger that's pulling that procreative energy away from the gonads. If you pull too fast, it'll break the connection and you'll lose it. At first, it is sufficient to use each point that you breathed into, the 8 different points, as positions where you stop with each breath. As you practice this and your intention becomes stronger, your heart will be able to pull harder and move the energy a bit faster, maybe 2 points at a time or 3 points at a time. The final goal is to use one breath to pull that energy from the gonad region all the way to the top of the head. I'd like to remind you that this is my own version of microcosmic circulation, where we're using the heart to pull the energy. Now you may be wondering why in the past I've called the procreative energy a fiery energy. That's because in this method, we're pulling the energy, the procreative energy, without activating it. It's in a dormant state. Because that energy isn't activated, then you don't get those physiological changes in your body that affect your mood and affect and get your brain to think about things that it shouldn't be thinking about when you're doing this cultivation. In other words, it's easier to maintain your composure and a calm mind by using your heart to do this. Most other paths of microcosmic circulation teach without using the heart. Instead, they try to activate that procreative energy and get that energy to stir in that root chakra area. And as they excite that region, then they pull the energy, which is a lot more palpable as a nice warm energy through the spine when you pull it. Unfortunately, in some cases, your mind begins to link meditation and cultivation with reproductive activity. Over the long haul, this may cause problems in advancing to further levels, because as soon as you start to cultivate, you get stray thoughts that lead you away from that placid state. Now, if you're interested in learning more about cultivation of the microcosmic orbit with a more fiery arousal, I suggest you read the works by Mantak Chia and put some research into dual cultivation. Again, for this system, we do not need to excite that procreative energy. In fact, it's better if we don't excite that reproductive energy, because later on we get a better transformation into that human energy.